There are moments in life when it feels as though the heavens themselves are silent. You pray, but the answers do not come. You strive, but the doors remain closed. You give, and yet you are met with empty hands. The silence can stretch so long that you begin to wonder if you've been forgotten, if the world has overlooked you, and if God himself has turned his face away. But, my friend, the silence of heaven is not neglect, it is preparation. Imagine the seed lying in the dark soil. Days turn to weeks, weeks to months, and nothing seems to happen. To the casual observer, it appears lifeless, but underneath the weight of the earth, a miracle is stirring. Roots stretch, foundations deepen, and soon, when the season is right, the seed bursts forth with life. What looked like delay was actually preparation. What seemed buried was destined for breakthrough. And so it is with your life. You may have been the one who was overlooked, the one dismissed, the one others pushed aside while they celebrated their own victories. You may have endured seasons of betrayal, disappointment, and nights drenched in tears, but hear this truth. It is your turn now. The God who governs the stars, who holds galaxies in his palm, has set his eyes upon you. And when he decides it is your time, no power on earth, no scheme of man, no whisper of the enemy can hold you back. For years, it may have seemed as if the scales of justice tilted against you. Wrongdoers thrived while you suffered. Those who mocked you walked in pride while you quietly carried your burdens. Yet the scriptures remind us that the Lord is a God of reversals. He humbles the proud and lifts up the humble. He takes the last and makes them first. He turns ashes into beauty, mourning into dancing, sorrow into joy. He does not just restore, he overturns. Do not be deceived by what your eyes see today. Life is not always what it appears. Behind the curtain of your circumstances, God is orchestrating a reversal so profound that even those who doubted you will have no choice but to see his hand upon your life. The tables are turning, the story is shifting, the ending is being rewritten by divine hands. Ask yourself, why has God allowed you to walk through seasons of lack, rejection, and delay? Could it be that these very trials were chiseling you into the vessel he required for a greater purpose? Could it be that every tear was watering the soil for your coming harvest? Could it be that the pain you endured was the very foundation upon which your destiny is about to stand? When the world said, "Not you," God whispered, "Wait." When the door shut, he said, "Not yet." When the enemy laughed at your downfall, God said, "Watch." And now the waiting has brought you to this moment, your turn. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because the author of time has appointed this season for you. This overturn will not be subtle. It will not be hidden in shadows. The very people who overlooked you will be forced to see what God is doing in your life. The favor he is pouring will be undeniable, the blessings unexplainable, and the justice undeniable. And when it happens, you will know it was never your strength, never your strategy, but his grace that carried you into it. So take heart. Do not grow weary in well-doing, for your season has come. The same God who overturned the tables in the temple is about to overturn the injustice in your story. The same God who parted seas and raised the dead is about to move on your behalf. And when he does, the silence of heaven will turn into a song of victory in your life. It's your turn now, your turn to rise, your turn to shine, your turn to walk in the fullness of what God has ordained for you. God's timing is perfect, and he has appointed this moment as your turn. There is a mysterious rhythm to life, a divine cadence that cannot be rushed or delayed. Everything under heaven has its season. The seed does not sprout in winter, the fruit does not ripen in spring, and the river does not overflow until the rains have come. So it is with your destiny. God has not forgotten you. He has simply been aligning the hours, the moments, the unseen circumstances to bring you into the fullness of His promise. Think of the countless times you may have questioned why it seemed so easy for others. They moved ahead while you were stuck waiting. They celebrated breakthroughs while you wrestled in silence. You wondered if perhaps God had overlooked your prayers or passed by your petitions. Yet the truth is far deeper. He was preserving you for a moment that only He could ordain. You see, if He had allowed you to rise too soon, the foundation beneath you would not have been ready to sustain the weight of your calling. The patience of God is not cruelty, it is mercy. To the eye, delay feels like denial, but in reality, delay is refinement. Consider the gold that is purified in fire. If removed too quickly, the impurities remain. If left too long, it is destroyed. The timing must be exact. So it is with you. Every tear you shed, every night you lay awake in uncertainty, every prayer that seemed unanswered, it was all part of this divine process. God has been timing your life like the grand composer of an eternal symphony, where every note must strike at the right second or the melody collapses. And here lies the beauty. When the moment arrives, there is no force that can hold it back. The doors that seemed bolted shut for years suddenly swing open. Opportunities you never imagined begin to chase you, rather than you chasing them. People who ignored you are suddenly compelled to recognize the hand of God upon you. It looks like it happened overnight, but it was a divine appointment written long before you were born. When God declares it's your turn, it is not by chance. It is not because of luck, nor because someone else gave you permission. It is because heaven itself has decreed it. The stars align, the pieces fall into place, and the very ground beneath your feet shifts in your favor. And what seemed wasted, the years of obscurity, the seasons of rejection, suddenly make sense. For without them, you would not have the strength, the wisdom, nor the humility to carry what God is entrusting to you now. Think of the great figures of Scripture. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for crimes he never committed. For years he endured silence, his dreams mocked by the reality of his suffering. But when God said, "It's your turn," he was elevated in a single day from prisoner to prince. Not a moment earlier, not a moment later. Perfect timing. The same God who appointed Joseph's hour is the same God who has appointed yours. Joseph said, "Your life is not behind schedule, you are not late, and you are not forgotten." The author of time himself has written you into this chapter, and the page is now turning. This is not coincidence. This is providence. It is your turn. Every trial you faced was preparation for the blessing about to come. Pain has a way of disguising itself as punishment, when in truth it is often preparation. We look at our wounds and think they are marks of failure, but heaven looks and sees tools of shaping. The hardships you endured were not random cruelty. They were sacred chisels in the hand of a master craftsman, refining you for a blessing that requires strength, resilience, and faith forged in fire. Consider how the most beautiful stones are formed. Diamonds are created under pressure, pearls through irritation, gold in fire. What makes them precious is not ease, but endurance. And so it is with you. Each rejection you experienced, each betrayal you suffered, each lonely night you thought no one saw, these were not wasted moments. They were the classrooms of heaven. equipping you with endurance for the season now unfolding. When you think of the pain, you might ask, why me? Why did you have to lose what others seemed to keep? Why were you the one left behind, overlooked or wounded by those you trusted? And yet, had you not walked through those valleys, you would not have the wisdom you carry today. The pain taught you discernment. The rejection taught you self-worth. The silence taught you dependence on God rather than the applause of people. Each lesson was costly, but each one carved out within you the capacity to hold the blessings that are now on their way. Blessings are not light things. They come with responsibility, weight, and influence. Without preparation, blessings can crush instead of uplift. That is why God allowed the trials to strengthen you first. Think of David. Before he held the crown, he held a sling. Before he ruled a kingdom, he faced lions and bears in solitude. Those trials prepared him to face Goliath, and defeating Goliath prepared him for the throne. Without the trial, the victory would have been unsustainable. So too with you. The trials you faced were not detours. They were the very path to your destiny. Every heartbreak trained your heart to beat with greater compassion. Every disappointment stretched your capacity for endurance. Every betrayal sharpened your wisdom so you could recognize true loyalty when it arrives. Without these seasons, the blessing would not have room to take root in your soul. And here lies the mystery. What once felt like loss was actually gain. You may have cried bitter tears, but those tears watered the soil of your character. You may have been stripped of things you thought you needed, but the stripping only revealed that your true strength was not in them, but in God. The trials were never meant to break you. They were meant to build you. Now, as the blessing approaches, you will find that you are not the same person who once begged for it. You are wiser, stronger, and anchored in a deeper faith. What you once prayed for in desperation, you will now steward with maturity. And when you look back on the trials, you will not see them as wasted years, but as stepping stones, each one leading you to this very moment. The trials were your preparation, the blessing is your reward, and now, at last, the stage is set for what God has been preparing you to carry all along. What seemed like silence was actually God setting the stage for reversal. There is perhaps nothing more difficult for the human soul than the silence of God. We pray and wait, and when heaven seems unresponsive, our hearts grow heavy with doubt. We wonder if our words reached beyond the ceiling, if our cries were too small to stir His concern. And yet, silence is not absence. Silence is not neglect. Silence is strategy. When God is quiet, it is because He is arranging something greater than your understanding could yet grasp. Think of a stage before a grand performance. The curtain is drawn, the lights dimmed, and all seems still. To the audience, nothing is happening. But behind the curtain, the actors are preparing, the sets are being shifted, and the story is being arranged for the moment it will be revealed. So too, when heaven seems silent, it is not because God has abandoned you, but because He is arranging the stage of your life for a reversal that will be so profound it could not have been rushed or revealed too soon. The enemy often tries to use silence as a weapon. He whispers into your soul, "See, nothing is happening. God has forgotten you. Your prayers are wasted breath." But the very fact that the enemy torments you in the silence is proof that something is stirring. Why else would he try so hard to convince you of despair unless he fears what is about to break forth? Darkness trembles when heaven is quiet, for it knows that silence precedes thunder, that hiddenness precedes revelation, and that waiting precedes victory. Think of the story of Lazarus. His sisters cried out for Jesus when he was sick, but Jesus delayed. To them, his silence was cruel, his absence confusing. But when he arrived, he did not simply heal the sick, he raised the dead. Had he come sooner, the miracle would have been smaller. His silence was not rejection. It was preparation for a greater reversal. The same is true in your life. The delay you have endured is not God's denial. It is His setup for a breakthrough that will silence the mouths of your doubters. This silence has been teaching you to lean on faith rather than feeling. It has been training you to walk by trust rather than sight. It has refined your ears to hear His whispers, even when the noise of the world tried to drown them out. And when the reversal comes, you will realize that His quiet was not empty, it was pregnant with promise. So take courage in the silence. Though the curtain has not yet lifted, though your story seems paused, the author has not abandoned the script. He is crafting an ending that will leave even your enemies astonished. And when the stage is finally revealed, you will understand that every silent moment was working together to prepare for your unveiling. Those who overlooked you will witness your elevation. There is a peculiar sting in being overlooked. To give your best, to pour out your heart, and yet to remain unseen, it can feel like an invisible wound. Others advanced while you waited. Others were celebrated while you remained in shadows. You were the one who was ignored, dismissed, underestimated. But here lies a divine mystery. What man overlooks, God remembers, and the very ones who overlooked you will one day be compelled to witness the magnitude of what He is doing in your life. Think of David once more. When Samuel came to anoint the next king, Jesse brought out all his sons except David. His own father overlooked him, leaving him out in the field, unseen and unconsidered. To human eyes, he was too young, too insignificant, too ordinary. Yet God said, "Rise, anoint him, this is the one." And in the presence of those who dismissed him, David was chosen. What they ignored, God exalted. This is not just an ancient story. It is a divine pattern. The people who once thought little of you, who whispered that you would never amount to anything, who rolled their eyes at your dreams, these very people will have to stand and watch as God elevates you. They will not be able to deny His hand upon your life. For elevation is not merely about you being lifted. It is about God's glory being revealed in such a way that no one can dispute it. The season of being overlooked was not wasted. It taught you humility. It trained you to serve without applause, to persist without recognition, to remain faithful without reward. These qualities are the very ones that will sustain you when elevation comes. For if you had been noticed too soon, pride might have destroyed you. But because you endured obscurity, you will now wear the crown of elevation with grace rather than arrogance. There is also justice in this divine reversal. God does not merely lift you, He does so in the sight of those who doubted you. It is as though He prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemies, showing them that what they tried to diminish could not be hidden forever. Your elevation becomes their education. They learn that human dismissal cannot cancel divine appointment. And here lies the wonder. Your elevation is not for vengeance, but for testimony. It is not to humiliate those who ignored you, but to magnify the one who never forgot you. When they see your rise, they will be forced to acknowledge that it was not by your strength or cleverness, but by God's favor alone. So do not despise the days you were unseen. Do not curse the seasons when others overlooked you. For those very people will one day be witnesses to the glory of your unveiling. What was hidden will be revealed, and what was ignored will be celebrated, not by their choice, but by God's design. God overturns injustice, humbling the proud and lifting the humble. The story of human history is filled with the cries of injustice. From the moment Cain raised his hand against Abel, The innocent have suffered at the hands of the proud. And even now you may carry scars from such moments, times when you were wronged, silenced, taken advantage of, or betrayed by those who carried power or influence over you. It can feel unbearable, as if injustice always wins, as if the scales are forever tilted against you. But the scriptures remind us of a deeper truth. God is the great judge, and he overturns injustice in his own perfect way. The proud may stand tall for a season. Their arrogance may echo loudly, their victories may seem secure, but pride carries within itself the seed of downfall. For pride blinds a person to their own fragility. They believe their position is eternal, that their cruelty will never be accounted for. Yet the hand of God humbles them in due time. Like Nebuchadnezzar, who strutted across his palace and declared his own greatness, the proud eventually learn that their breath itself is borrowed. God humbles the exalted and lifts the lowly. Think for a moment about your own life. How many times were you overlooked because you chose humility over pride? How many times did others use arrogance to push you aside while you walked quietly in faithfulness? You may have thought your humility was weakness, that your silence left you forgotten, but humility is never wasted. God sees, he records, and when the moment comes, he lifts the humble, not in secret, but in full view, so that none can deny his hand. The overturning of injustice is not only about lifting you, it is also about showing the world that God's order stands above human systems. The very structures that once oppressed you will be shaken. The very voices that mocked you will fall silent. The same ground that once buried you will be the ground from which you rise. We often long for immediate justice, for swift reversal, but God's timing ensures that when he humbles the proud and lifts the humble, it is undeniable. Look at Haman in the book of Esther, who plotted against Mordecai. He built gallows for his enemy, only to be hanged upon them himself. This is the nature of divine justice. It is poetic, precise, and perfect. So take heart, your humility has not gone unnoticed. Every quiet act of faith, every moment you endured silently, has been seen. The proud who raised themselves against you may seem secure, but their downfall is already written, and as they fall, you will rise, not because of revenge, but because of divine justice. The scales are being balanced, the tables are turning. God is overturning injustice in your life. Your blessings will be undeniable, a testimony of divine favor. When God blesses, he does so in a way that silences all questions. His blessings carry a weight, a glory that cannot be explained by human effort alone. And when he chooses to bless you, it is not hidden or half-hearted, it is undeniable. Those who doubted you will not be able to ignore it, and those who dismissed you will have no choice but to witness it. Consider the blessings of God not as mere possessions or fleeting successes, but as living testimonies. Each blessing is a declaration. This one is mine, this one I have chosen, this one I have favored. Blessings are not just for you. They are signs to the world of his hand at work in your life. They become undeniable proof that he has been with you all along, even when others mocked, doubted, or abandoned you. Your blessings have a way of rewriting your story. Where there was lack, abundance comes. Where there was sorrow, joy takes root. Where there was rejection, acceptance and honor flourish. The beauty of divine blessing is that it not only elevates you, but also redeems the pain you endured to get there. It answers every tear, every prayer, every sleepless night with something so rich and so complete that you cannot help but stand in awe. Think of Job. He was stripped of everything: wealth, health, family, dignity. His friends mocked him, assuming his suffering meant God had abandoned him. Yet when God restored him, He gave him double what was lost. The blessing was undeniable. None could question it. Even his critics had to bow their heads and admit that God's hand was upon him. That same kind of restoration is coming for you. Undeniable blessings do not come from striving or manipulation. They are not the result of cleverness or schemes. They flow from favor. And favor is unearned, unmerited, unstoppable. When God decides to bless you, no enemy can block it, no betrayal can cancel it, no delay can diminish it. What He places in your hands will remain because it was never man's to give or take. It was heaven's gift. And here lies the beauty. Undeniable blessings speak louder than words. They silence gossip, they quiet slander, they drown out criticism. You will not need to defend yourself when God blesses you. The blessing itself will be your defense. It will testify on your behalf. It will prove that you are chosen, that you are favored, that God Himself has been your portion and your shield. So lift your head. Your season of undeniable blessing is near. The very areas of your life where you suffered most will become the places where favor flows most visibly. What once bore the scars of loss will shine with the oil of gladness, and when people see it, they will know it could only have been God. This season marks the beginning of your victory and restoration. There are moments in life that carry the weight of turning points, moments when what was behind you no longer defines you, and what is before you begins to unfold with a divine certainty. You have come to such a moment now. This is not merely another chapter of endurance, not another cycle of loss and waiting. This is the threshold of a new season, your season of victory and restoration. Victory is not always loud at first. It begins in the quiet recognition that the battle you fought is already decided in heaven. Long before you see the evidence with your eyes, victory is sealed by the word of God. Every trial you endured, every storm that threatened to drown you, every tear that fell unacknowledged by others, God counted them, and He has declared that they will not end in defeat. This is the beginning of your turnaround. But victory is not just about overcoming your enemies. True victory is when your scars become stories of survival, when your wounds become testimonies of healing, and when your brokenness becomes the foundation for beauty. You will not only stand again, you will stand taller, wiser, stronger, and closer to God than ever before. The very things that once shamed you will become the platforms from which you proclaim His faithfulness. And restoration is even more profound. Restoration means God does not simply give back what you lost. He redeems it, multiplies it, and transforms it into something greater than you imagined. The years you thought wasted, the relationships you thought ruined, the dreams you thought dead, He is breathing life into them once more. And what He restores is not a mere replacement, but a divine renewal. Just as the farmer who watches a barren field suddenly bloom again after rain, you too will watch the dry places of your life blossom in ways you never believed possible. This season is not about surviving anymore. It is about thriving. No longer will you walk in the shadows of what others did to you. No longer will you define yourself by the betrayals, the rejections, or the closed doors. Those were part of the old season. But God has declared that your time has come, and when He declares it, nothing can stop it. Do you feel it? The shift in the air, the stirring in your spirit? It is the sense that something new is breaking forth, something holy, something unstoppable. Heaven has already written it. It's your turn now. This season is not just an ending to the pain. It is the beginning of joy. It is not merely the closure of wounds. It is the unveiling of blessings. You are stepping into victory, and with it comes restoration so complete that even your enemies will not recognize you. Hold your head high. This is not the same road you once walked. The storm is over, the night has passed, and the dawn has come. Your season of defeat has ended, and your season of victory has begun. This is the hour heaven has prepared for you. My friend, hear this clearly. It's your turn now. The long silence, the endless waiting, the tears no one else saw. They were not wasted. God has been setting the stage for your reversal, preparing your heart through trials, and positioning you for a blessing that cannot be denied. The proud who mocked you will be humbled. The ones who overlooked you will watch your elevation. The injustices you carried will be overturned, and the blessings that are coming will speak louder than your words ever could. This is not wishful thinking. It is divine appointment. Lift your head and steady your heart. You are stepping into a season unlike any you've known. This is the dawn of your victory, the hour of your restoration, the moment heaven has marked on its calendar for you. Walk boldly into it, not with fear, but with faith. For when God says it's your turn, the world must bow to his decree. This is your moment. This is your season. The tables are turning, and God is overturning everything in your favor.